Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Flames. After a much anticipated loss, the Flames are back at the Saddle Dome tomorrow night to face the Vancouver Canucks. And it's Friday, so you know that it is time for our winners and losers of the week.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Jess of the Metropolitan Riveters Public Relations team, as well as just a wide variety of websites covering the NHL for 5-6 years now. I lost count, honestly. How are you today? Thank you so much for making Locked On Flames part of your daily routine here. We greatly appreciate it. And make sure that you are subscribed and listening to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts. Free 99 wherever you listen to us, and it'll never be anything more than free 99. Make sure that you are subscribed on YouTube as well and turn on the notifications. Today's flame of the day, I don't have one because I have a headache and I'm not lighting a candle. So let's talk about Jacob Markstrom, shall we? Why was he in net last night? 3 games in 4 days on the second half of a back-to-back. I don't really like this. I think that this really leaves a bad taste in my mouth because to me that means that they can't trust Dan Vladar. And that's not where we wanted to be. I thought we were past not trusting our backup goaltender, but, we're just apparently right back at square one there. Why was he starting? I got the Twitter notification from Pat Steinberg, and I was like, that says Markstrom's in net. And I just was very confused and kind of hoping it was an early April Fool's joke. And why was he starting? He's not a spring chicken anymore. He can't bounce back the way that he used to. And I think that expecting that out of really any player to bounce back is quite a lot. I think that you're not going to get that out of most players, to be completely honest. I think that especially a goaltender who is older, but really a goaltender who is facing a lot of shots and a lot of traffic is not going to be bouncing back or on their A game the way that they would on the first half of a back-to-back. And I'm not blaming this loss on Markstrom. Please let me be clear with that. I don't think that goaltending played a huge role in this at all. To be honest, I didn't really watch the game. I watched a condensed version because I was exhausted. And I think that the Blues were just hungry. And the Flames weren't going to win this regardless of who was in net because the Blues had something to prove and they wanted their revenge. And they were in their reputation era, if you will. But my problem here is that they don't trust Vladar. Vladar is going on 4 weeks now without starting. 3 weeks without starting. And that, to me, is not good. He should be getting at least a game I don't want to say every other game, but maybe a game every 2 or 3 games. And maybe that's just hard to do right now because of the condensed schedule, or sorry, not the condensed schedule, where the exact opposite, actually, when the schedule was so spread out and they were only playing every 10 days. But I think that it's only fair. It's only fair for Vladar to get his reps in. I don't think that it's acceptable at this point. This condensed schedule is just starting, and it's going to be leading into bigger issues for Markstrom if he can't, get out in front of this fatigue and injury and possibly burnout. Like, obviously, obviously this is all speculation here, but what on earth are we doing when we have a backup goaltender who could have played yesterday? So Markstrom could have had a night off. I'm not sure what Sutter was doing, and I don't want to say that, the players manage the team, but I'm very concerned to have Markstrom in net when he's showing signs of fatigue and potential injury. Coming up next, we are going to preview this Vancouver Canucks game and what the Flames need to watch out for as they head into this matchup. But you know what they need to also get through their day? Built Bars. Built Bars are a delicious tasting protein bar that everyone needs. They taste like a candy bar, and they do not have that gritty, sandpapery, powdery, chalky taste that most protein bars have. It's like eating a candy bar. I'm going to be entirely honest. It satisfies my cravings for chocolate, and because I am trying to eat healthier, they are a great substitute for my Kit Kat bars. Okay, I'm going to be honest. But you can head on over to built.com today and get your Built Bars at a discounted rate when you use promo code LOCKED15. Yes, built.com, promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off of your orders. They have a wide variety of flavors that come in. All the bars come in 100% covered in chocolate. They're delicious, but I think my favorite is probably, oh God, I really like the orange because it reminds me of this Whitman's chocolate that I used to have all the time as a kid. So head on over to built.com today and get your box of Built Bars for 15% off at built.com with promo code LOCKED15. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Locked on Flames. Make sure that you are following me on YouTube at Jess Belmosto. If you're watching on YouTube, then just flash across the screen right there, and that's JESSBELMOSTO. The Flames are heading back home to face the Canucks, who are 19-19-5. How can this team rack up 2 more points against a 500 team? Okay? A team playing 500 hockey. The Canucks are coming off of a 5-1 win over Winnipeg. The Flames are coming off a 5-1 loss to the Blues. So both of them have that in common. JT Miller, who is speculated to be moved at the deadline, will be someone to definitely watch. He is their point leader with 44, and he also leads the team with 15 goals. I would say that this team has turned it around a lot since Travis Green was fired and they brought in Bruce Boudreau. Bruce is a character. I think that he has really helped this team kind of liven up the morale. And, there's a lot of talk of how the culture in Vancouver is perceived and how it's a problem. As someone who has worked with a hockey team that has been perceived in a similar notion, more often than not, it's not a culture problem. It's probably just, again, outsiders thinking they know everything and just making really bold assumptions, in all honesty. But, if they move some pieces around, could they possibly, I don't want to say rebuild because I don't know what Vancouver hockey is doing and what their plan is with that, especially now with Benning fired. But with Emily at the helm now as the AGM, I think it would be very interesting to see what the direction is. So I think their next step is going to have to be trading Yaroslav Halak, because once Thatcher Demko comes back from injury, Spencer Martin, um, Spencer Martin has been on fire since taking over for him. He has a save percentage of .916 and a below 2 goals against average. So he's done pretty well in these 6 games. And there's a really good chance that the Flames are going to run into a hot goaltender. Like I would be very surprised if the Canucks went out there and put Halak in net. Excuse me. I just think that the Canucks are going to end up going with their hot goaltender. It makes the most sense. Now, I've never coached hockey. I've never coached a sport. I was the team captain in Capture the Flag and always picked the kid I had a crush on first. So that's kind of where my leadership abilities were. But no, I think that it makes the most sense for them to start with Martin. I keep wanting to call him Spencer Knight. His name is not Spencer Knight. But I think that the Flames, like right now, I'm in the position, like I'm giving the Flames a little bit of grace here, okay? And it's not because like I think that they're in a position where they need grace. I think it's because they deserve the credit and respect of me not sending y'all into panic mode and pressing a panic button every time they face an opponent, especially an opponent who is kind of like bottom of the barrel in their division. But I think that the first 2 lines can perform at a level that they need to squeak out a win. Michael Backlund has had goals in 2 of the last games, and I think that Mangiapane has kind of gotten himself back into a rhythm. Blake Coleman can do it, and I'm not even going to talk about the first line because it would be such a waste of breath to talk about how good they are and just the chemistry. I might have to do a whole episode just on the chemistry of that first line because it is just such a beautiful creation that we deserved a very long time ago. And I think that it's only fair to give the Flames credit where it's due. And I'm not going to, like, my job as a host is to, make the games more enjoyable for you and to, ease your anxiety about the Flames as well as like scream over things that make us scream. But I am just very confident in this team. And I don't think that we need to worry after 1 loss. And I've been saying that like all season because 1 loss is not as detrimental as it was last year. Number 1, because you're not trying to rack up all the points in like 2 weeks compared and like a 2-week season, it felt like. And then, this team can bounce back from a win or from a loss rather much easier than they could last year, and give them some credit. They're under Daryl Sutter's watchful eye for nearly a year now, and I just think it would be very unfair to say that they need to, like, the whole roster needs to be playing at 150%. Like, it's the Canucks. I think that they'll be okay. I'm not gonna panic and make you all panic. The Flames deserve some respect. So, if you would like to place a bet on tomorrow's game, I have the perfect place for you, and that is BetOnline AG. All you have to do is head on over to their freshly designed website on your phone, tablet, iPad, computer, whatever internet-connected device you have, and sign up for a free account today and use promo code Locked On for that 50% welcome bonus after you make your first deposit. It's very easy to do. You can place bets on your favorite sports teams, reality TV shows, politics, you name it, they have it. And they have Vegas casino games as well. So you can have plenty of fun on BetOnline AG. And to maximize your fun, get on over there right now and use promo code Locked On when you make your first deposit to get that 50% welcome bonus. Thank you so much for tuning in to Locked On Flames. Make sure you are following me and this podcast wherever you get the podcast: YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, Audible, Apple, YouTube. You got it. Locked on Flames. So it is Friday, which means it is time for our winners and losers of the week. We are switching it up this week. We're going with the winners first, and that is the Flames social media team. So much love for them. Okay, I don't know if there's been like a change in direction over there, like if there's a new like channel coordinator in terms of like social media director or anything like that, but they are having so much fun, and they're giving us a lot of behind the scenes content too, which I think is very fun. I love the little pregame glove kiss ritual between Johnny and Matthew. I think that's it's adorable. And they're telling jokes on social media or on the Twitter feed during the games. They're using Daryl Sutter's pictures as reaction pictures, and I eat that up. I love reaction pictures. I have an entire album on my phone of reaction pictures. And if you follow me on Twitter, you've probably seen like the entire thing at this point. But I think that they're having fun, they're cute, and it's very fun to follow along with. It's not just boring, stale tweets. So you love to see that. And I think that anything that involves like a little extra creativity really gets the fans going. And we've seen it with accounts like the Colorado Avalanche and the Canes before they went off the deep end. The Nashville Predators have done it before too, before they invited Dave Portnoy. But my loser of the week pretty much falls in line with last week's loser of the week, which is the Edmonton Oilers. You guys know that I love dogging on the Oilers. We dunk on the Oilers any chance we get here, but this needs to be taken in a serious note, okay? So Evander Kane was let go, released, contract terminated from the San Jose Sharks because he had violated COVID protocol. He had many personal issues going on that involved the state of California, like the court systems and everything. And he was cleared from any wrongdoing in the breaking of COVID protocol investigation done by the league. Obviously, I haven't seen any updates on the court case, but I don't feel comfortable talking about it because of the nature of the custody battle, and there's a child involved, and I'm not here to disrespect the child, and it just doesn't feel right. So, that's being handled in court. But there's a difference between being a Brad Marchand, who's a pest on the ice, who likes to fight, like a Zdeno Chara, who will throw hands when he needs to, and actually he nearly killed Evander Kane one time, so that's kind of ironic. But I think that there's a difference between that and then how you conduct yourself off the ice as well. And I'm not talking about his gambling addiction, because addiction is a serious thing, regardless if it's a substance, food, television. Like, there are plenty of things to be addicted to, and unfortunately gambling is his vice, and it has clearly gone too far. But his own teammates didn't come to his defense through anything this season. None of his teammates addressed the media saying, I've reached out to him. He's okay. He's going through some heavy stuff, and he knows that he can call me if he needs anything. That typical rehearsed cliche line that players often feed and extend to players. And there are allegations of abuse and assault that are not, I don't think that they were ever like criminal charges brought upon them, which is a whole other power dynamic issue, but they're there, and obviously innocent until proven guilty, but I think that patterns of behavior establish things that we don't get to see on the outside, but when they're brought to the media, we do see them, and they're discussed, and I don't think that someone is doing this to go after his contract, his money, anything like that. To be entirely honest, I think that people there are very, very low rates of false reporting, and that's I don't want to get into that. That's not what this podcast is about. But my issue with Evander Kane being back in hockey is that it sets the tone for everyone who follows. It sets the tone for people who are willing to abuse the system, to not be held accountable. Being sent down to the AHL is not being held accountable. Being sent over to Russia to play in the KHL is not being held accountable. It's not a punishment. And I don't think that the league will ever get to the point where they can hold a player, especially a player who is very talented, like Evander Kane, accountable. So when a team goes out and signs a player for $750,000 and then gives them the $675 in signing bonuses, they let you know. You know, the league minimum doesn't do anything. You know, that doesn't matter in this. I think that what matters is a player who has been a continual problem off the ice gets to see another day in professional hockey. And I'm not just talking about like, oh, you know, he got into an argument, you know. I mean, for God's sake, Milan Lucic and his girlfriend back in like 2013 were screaming at each other at 1:00 in the morning outside of a Starbucks in Boston. Do I think Lucic is a bad guy for that? No, just like learn to control your liquor. Like don't throw like your girlfriend under the bus when you're like being talked to by the cops. But you know, I'm talking about the players who have this reputation off ice, and it's not a good reputation to have. I'm talking about, you know, like people can dog on Marchand all they want, but he's done a lot for the community and for families in need in Boston. And, you know, he hangs out with Jimmy Hayes's young boys, you know, to be a role model and a father figure. Abandoning your wife, who has access to no money, to feed herself or her child, your child, so you can go gamble over in Europe with the supermodel. That's irresponsible. I get it. Divorces happen. And people fall out of love. That happens. But you have a responsibility to live up to and expectations that need to be met. I don't want this to get like a lot deeper than it needs to be, but yes, thank you so much for listening to Locked on Flames. I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Locked on Flames.